Hi everybody, welcome to Sports Talk. I'm your host Steve Atkinson. We are on the Raynham channel on YouTube. When it gets uploaded, go to the Raynham channel and you can get Sports Talk on here. A lot to talk about today on the show with the Celtics losing on Saturday night Game 7 to the Heat. The NBA Finals start tonight with the Heat and the Thunder, 9 o'clock. Probably touch on the Red Sox a little bit. I really don't want to pay too much attention to them. So I'm strictly going to start off with the Boston Celtics and the NBA and how the NBA got what they wanted in a Heat-Oklahoma City matchup. And I think that's what they wanted for the ratings and everything else because, as I think and many other people do too, the NBA favors home sports teams and superstars like LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Paul Pierce should be in that category, but he is not, of course. So I don't understand it, and ESPN is all over it too. So I'm going to start again with the Celtics and the big three as Garnett. And there have been reports of him maybe going to the Spurs. The Spurs are interested in him. Rondo and Ray Allen and Paul Pierce. Pierce, I think, is going to stay. Allen, I think, will probably move on. Garnett will probably go. Will probably move on. So it's probably going to be up to Rondo to lead the team, and I think he needs to. He has leadership on the court, but I think off the court, in the locker room, maybe he has to make more of a leadership role like Paul Pierce has done, because they have a young team. They got, what killed them though, I think, was the bench. The bench didn't really come up to the series in Game 7 and Game 6 like it did in Game 5. I think what Petrus pulled off a great game. It's a young team, so the bench needs to step it up a little bit. And I think with that and the officiating problems that were going on with that whole series in general, it would have been a lot better. Mark Bertrand, a host of the 98 Felger and Mazza 98.5 The Sports Hub, tweeted on Saturday night that LeBron James is 5-1 with those referees. Because they were the referees that were refereeing that Game 6 it was in Boston. The Heat were like 6-1, and the Celtics were like 1-5. It was a very interesting stat that Mark Bertrand pointed out. So that was interesting to see that, and I think also with the NBA too it's just so predictable. I mean the last 2 minutes are the most important part of the game. Saturday night, you had the last quarter. The last 12 minutes of that game were the most important part of that game, and the Celtics slipped away. But I think the Celtics will be back next year. I think they'll be, contenders. They'll probably make the playoffs, and they'll have a good season. And but now it's kind of sad that they're going home, not going to Oklahoma City. But they have a good road, and I think that. With Miami and the Heat with Spoelstra, I think he's a joke. Spoelstra is such a joke because nobody listens to that guy. That guy is just, I think, there for support. I don't think he really coaches that basketball team. I think the coaches of that team are LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. That's it. Boss is there for like backup. That is the main core of that basketball team, LeBron and Wade. That is it. And Pat Riley's just sitting up in there. And personally, I think Pat Riley should come down and coach that team. But that's not probably going to happen. If the Heat lost against the Celtics, Spoelstra would have been gone. He would have been fired by now. But again, I think the Heat are going to pull up a fight with Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has great players, Durant, Westbrook, and James Harden. All three are great ball players. They're young. They have young talent all around. It's going to be a great series, but I think LeBron and the Heat are going to take it in 5. because I don't think LeBron's going to want to lose two in a row, two in a row NBA final matchups chances. So I think Miami will probably take it in 5. And I think the NBA in general wants LeBron to get a ring. Anyway, I think ESPN wants to get him to get a ring. So everybody wants this guy to get a ring. That's why I believe that the Miami Heat are going to win this series. And just so it can shut up everybody, you know what I mean, and the critics and stuff. So I think LeBron will get it. Dwayne Wade already has a ring, so the leadership role from Dwayne Wade will also be a factor in that series, and Bosch too. And again, with the other day when Spoelstra didn't play Bosch, he played him in Game 7, and he lit him up. I mean, Bosch played a great game in Game 7, and he sat him down. I think was a Game 6 or 5, and I think things started to lose it a little bit, and the Celtics won that game. And everyone was criticizing Spoelstra for not letting him play more, and he said, well, we're going to work on it. Well, it's in Eastern Conference Finals, and you're going to work on it? You're in the playoffs. That's why I think Bosch should be playing tonight. He's questionable, I guess, as Spoelstra's saying. If I was Spoelstra, I would let him play because it's the NBA Finals, and what chance are you going to have again? You probably will be back next year, but what chances are you going to have, though, to come back here ever again? So, it's the NBA Finals, the playoff game. That was Garnett sitting the bench in Game 5, whatever it was, not playing. He would have said something after that game. So this series is going to be very interesting to see it. The ratings are going to be high. I'm telling you right now, there was more ratings on the Celtics and Heat series than there probably were on the Stanley Cup Finals. You know what? I could probably count on one hand how many people knew that the Stanley Cup Finals were last night as the LA Kings beat the Devils to win their first ever Stanley Cup championship. No one cares. No one talks about it. ESPN doesn't even talk about it. Hockey is my opinion, it's a lame sport. No one cares. No one talks about it. It's not like basketball where you have all these analysts and you have all this competition and you have all these people coming together to talk about it. It's not like football where they have Sunday NFL Countdown. If it's the Super Bowl, oh my God, everybody knows about it. Everybody knows about the Super Bowl. The World Series is kind of like hockey too, in a sense, where you have 7 games, but the World Series is kind of it's a long process, it seems to me, and that's right where football is. Just like hockey is right where basketball is in the playoffs. And I personally think basketball, their ratings are going to skyrocket, and they're probably going to set some records as they did with the Celtics. And this NBA Finals is going to be pretty good. They got LeBron James against Kevin Durant, exactly what they wanted. This is the start of the playoffs, and they got what they wanted, like I said at the beginning of my show today. So I believe that the Miami Heat are going to pull up a fight, and Oklahoma City is going to pull up a fight too. Two great evenly matchups, great talent on both sides. And I can't wait to see it tonight at 9 o'clock on ABC. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see that as we look forward to this amazing NBA Finals matchup. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to touch on the Red Sox and see as they're slumping now. That's next on Sports Talk. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sports Talk. Again, I'm your host, Steve Atkinson. And right now, what I'm going to talk about right now is switch to the disgraceful Boston Red Sox right now. They're in last place. They were up 500. They were doing pretty good. After David Ortiz had that little pep talk, and now they're starting to slump down a little bit, not do as well. They got, I think they got swept by Baltimore. They got swept by the Nationals at home. And we'll talk about the solid streak in a little bit. And now they lost last night to the Miami Marlins with Josh Beckett pitching against his old team for the first time since he's been traded. So that was pretty cool to see that. And Beckett actually got pummeled. I didn't see the game, but they lost 5-1 or whatever it was. They got like 5 hits, and Ortiz, no one hit the ball, and it was just a mess. I mean, that whole team, the Marlins are a good team too. They have young talent, young players, but I also think the Red Sox are again coming off Bobby Valentine's style of baseball. It's not Francona's style. Like we've all seen, he's more outgoing. He's complaining a lot about the umpiring. It's weird how the sports today are complaining about the officiating. It's unbelievable. It's like, I guess the umpires, Valentine was complaining about the umpires calling balls and strikes or whatever. The umpire is going to see it the way he sees it, and I don't think there should be technology to replay every single ball and strike, because the game is slow enough as it is. It's 3 hours long anyway, so why would you replay balls and strikes? It's a ball or a strike. And we've seen 2 perfect games, and I think that the 2 perfect games, the umpires have made a mistake and called the player out to save their own butts, like last year with that pitcher that pitched a perfect game. Well, he did, Galarraga, and the umpire called him. I guess the umpire called him out or something, or they called him safe, and he was clearly out. But yeah. So anyway, I think with the umpires and the officiating and with the Red Sox, hopefully they'll come around. Because really, right now, what's happening with the Red Sox is their pitching is terrible, their bullpen is terrible. Daniel Bard had to go down to Pawtucket. Nobody's hitting the ball right now with David Ortiz. David Ortiz is not hitting the ball right well. Adrian Gonzalez isn't hitting. Butch Roy is not hitting right now. So all those things are becoming a factor right now as we go forward into the season. Excuse me. So that is the problem with the Red Sox right now. They got to hit the ball. They got to not make any errors on the field. Pitching has to be better. All those things, and they'll come around. So we'll see what happens with that. I also believe that Daniel Bard, again, with him, there's a problem with him because he went down to Pawtucket. He didn't like going down to Pawtucket. He wanted to go back into the bullpen. That didn't work out, so he just sent him down there, and he's not really pitching well there either. Dice Gate comes back, and he is not pitching well. They're a complete circus. I mean, this AL East is really, really, there's really nobody pulling away in the AL East like we've seen in the past. The Yankees are hot and fire right now, but the Orioles, if they can win a few more games, they'll be right back in it. I mean, they were in last place a few weeks ago, and they were like 2 games out of first because they're so close together. I think yesterday the Blue Jays won, the Yankees won, the Orioles won, the Red Sox lost. I think that was Sunday. Every team won in the AL East but the Sox. So it's just tough luck for that team right now. And you know what? I can't wait though for this weekend. I cannot wait for the Chicago Cubs to play the Boston Red Sox this weekend. I think it's Sunday night baseball. Terry Francona's doing the game. Theo Epstein, old team. It's going to be very interesting to see. The Chicago Cubs aren't really doing that well anyway, but it's going to be pretty cool. And there are reports out there that Youkilis may be going to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll see what happens with Youkilis. I think he's a good player, but I think they got to move on. Middlebrooks is doing pretty good. They got Gonzalez at first, so we'll see what happens with them. I also believe that the Red Sox will come around, hopefully. I think they need to I think the last September is behind them right now, but I think that they need to come out with an attitude where we want to win every game. We got to win every game. We got to go out. We got to play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and we'll be good. So that's basically it as we look forward now to the rest of the season, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. But this is I'm going to do the question of the week right now. I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I'm going to answer it at the beginning of my show next week. So the question has to do with the NBA playoffs and how many times have the Celtics lost in the NBA? No, the question of the week is who owns the Boston Celtics, and that will be the question of the week. Because in sports, we know who in this area. I can tell you who owns the Red Sox and Lucchino, Henry, and Warner, and Peter Chiarelli. Oh no, the Bruins. I don't know who owns the Bruins. Bob Kraft owns the Patriots. But see, the basketball and hockey aren't really big in Boston. They're not really the biggest sports in Boston. The biggest sports in Boston are baseball and football for some reason. I don't know why. It gets the most attention. Basketball and hockey don't get the most attention, and soccer is just like what? I didn't even know we had one. I do, but some people are like, oh yeah, I forgot about the Revolution. I couldn't even name you one player on that team, but um, you know, it's just I think the more popular sports, the more people know it, the more people that talk about it. So who owns the Boston Celtics? That will be the question for this week. I will tell you it next week at the beginning of the show, and we'll see what happens. When I come back, I'm gonna switch and talk about we're gonna talk about the New England Patriots Ocho Cinco's new team. That's next on Sports Talk. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Steve Atkinson. I'm going to switch back. I'm going to go to the New England Patriots, talk about them. Chad Ochocinco's new team. He is now a Miami Dolphin. Patriots released him like 5 days ago. He's now a Miami Dolphin. I wish him the best of luck, dude, because that guy did not do anything for the New England Patriots. I don't know what he was doing. A few weeks ago, he still didn't even know the offense. He still was asking Deion Branch, what do I do? I mean, how can you possibly not know an offense? You've been there for 16 weeks. You just came from with Cincinnati Bengals, who are, again, a great football team, and you can't handle or you can't play with the Patriots offense. You can't study it. You can't cope with it. You're an NFL wide receiver. It doesn't take you 16 weeks to figure out what you're supposed to do. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, the guy's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, he's everywhere. I just don't understand how this guy cannot handle or not get an offense after 16 weeks. It's like a rookie has more experience, gets more of it in like 2 or 3 weeks than Ocho Cinco, who's been in the league for like 12 years. And I mean, that's why that's why he doesn't have a ring. He doesn't have a ring because he's not a leader. It's all about Ocho Cinco. It's all about trying to fit in, but he can't fit in. Going to the Miami Dolphins, I don't see him really performing that well with the Dolphins. I think he's just there to go on the beach and hang out with LeBron and Dwayne Wade for the fall. I don't know. I mean, going to Miami, I think he's just there for the sunny thing and he's not there to play football. He's just there for the social life. That's my opinion, because the guy is not going to get he can't get the Patriots offense. He's not going to get. I don't think he's be able to get any offense, because that guy needs to really get his head out of his butt and start playing and start getting it. He's not getting it, and that's the problem. I also think the Patriots this year, Brandon Lloyd, and they got rid of Anthony Gonzalez. They got Welker. They got Rob Gronkowski. They just signed him. He's the highest paid tight end in the NFL. Rob Gronkowski, again, I think they got Aaron Hernandez. They have a powerful offense this year. You look at their offense right now, and They got the guys I mentioned. They just got Joseph Adai running back. Again, they have a great team, and again, a powerful offense. They still have a defense that they may need to work on. They got a lot of defensive players in the draft. They did a great job doing that. But I also think the Patriots are probably going to be, again, they'll be in the AFC Championship game. I predict they'll go to the Super Bowl again this year, and I predict that they'll probably win it. I think they'll win the AFC East. I know the Jets have Tebow, and talking about Tebow for a second, they'll probably use him as a wildcat. The Patriots are gonna pick that up right away, and I was hoping that Tebow would come to New England to be with Brady, but that didn't happen. So because they already have Ryan Mallett anyway. But again, the Patriots are going to be a good team this year. They have good defense, because they got some good players in the draft, like I said, and I think the wide receiving core is pretty cool. Was pretty good with Welker and Gronkowski and Hernandez, Brandon Lloyd. They got Stallworth there now back. He's older though, but they still, I think they need one more deep threat, because they got Brandon Lloyd, they got Branch still, but they need one more deep threat. And again, I think it would have been cool to see Ocho Cinco there, but he doesn't know what Patriots offense, so they had to release him. And they were trying to trade him, and that didn't work. So it's going to be interesting to see this football season, how it turns out, how it pans out, and it should be cool. So now what I'm going to talk about now is I'm going to switch back and talk about tonight's preview game of the Oklahoma City Thunder Miami Heat. I'm going to break it down game by game, what I think is going to happen tonight. Game 1 is in Oklahoma City. So I predict that tonight Oklahoma City will take Game 1. Game 2 is in Oklahoma, so I predict that's Thursday night probably. I predict Miami will take that, so the series will be tied going into Sunday night at 8 o'clock. And I predict that Miami will be home for Game 3. Miami will win Game 3. I think Oklahoma City will win Game 4. Miami will win Game 5. I said Miami in 5. I don't think that's going to happen. Wow. So if it's 2-3-2, that means 2-3 Miami and then 2 back in Oklahoma City. If the Heat are up 3-2 going into Game 6, that means Oklahoma's got the home court advantage for the next 2 games. So that will be very interesting to see. If Miami wins Game 5 and they're up 3-2 going into Game 6 in Oklahoma, it's going to be interesting to see if Oklahoma can pull it off the next 2 games. I think they could. It could go either way, but I'm still picking Miami. I think Miami probably either in 5 or 6. Probably not 5, but probably most definitely 6. Because I think Miami, I think with LeBron and Wade, I think they'll come together and push it together, and hopefully, and maybe make Durant and Westbrook and James Harden tired. And Miami really doesn't even have a bench, so if they blow out LeBron and Wade, I'm talking about the Thunder, blow them out, I mean, they could win. The Thunder could win. So it's going to be an interesting series. Looking forward to it. And we'll see what happens. So with that being said, I'm going to just talk for the next 5 minutes of the Sandusky trial. I really didn't want to talk a lot about it because that whole situation is kind of disturbing. But for the next 5 minutes, I'll just touch on it. My opinion on that whole situation is, if you see something happening, I don't care what it is, if you see something happening that somebody's getting abused, you should tell somebody. And if that person doesn't report it to a higher person, and I'm not talking about a school official, I'm talking about police enforcement, like police. law enforcement. I'm not talking about school officials because the school officials aren't going to care. They only care about is themselves and the program, the football program, and that's what happened. Just go to the cops, go to the police, because it just hurts all the kids, and now all you care about is that person, or all you care about is themselves, and you don't care about that person doing that to this kid. I mean, he literally abused 10, maybe even more kids. I just don't understand why no one believed it. No one, I know it's hard to understand. You got to say something. You go to the police, because there are reports now today that Schultz and Curley hid evidence of it, of the whole situation, what was going on with Sandusky and these kids. So, I mean, I think they knew what was going on, but they didn't want to tell anybody because they wanted to protect the Penn State football program, and that's what they wanted to do. It is so wrong. It's so wrong, and I'm sorry about Joe Paterno too. He was a great coach, but the guy didn't go to higher authority enough. He could have done more. He should have done more. If he went to higher authority, to the athletic director, and they didn't do anything about it, well, and you didn't, and then you should have went to the police. You know what I mean? You shouldn't just go to the higher authority, to the athletic director, and just say, okay, I'm not going to do anything. Like the coach McQuarrie that saw the incident in the shower. He went to Paterno, and then that was it. He didn't go anywhere else. He just went to Paterno. I mean, that was so stupid. You should go to a bigger and higher person besides Paterno. You should go to the police, dude. Go to the police. I mean, that's traumatizing to see that. But hopefully he'll be found guilty, and he probably won't come out alive in jail. So with that being said, I'm gonna do the fastest 2 minutes right now. Everything I just talked about in 2 minutes. Starting with the Boston Celtics, I wish the big three the best of luck. I hope they can come back, but I don't know. The Garnett might be gone, and hopefully Rondo can carry that team. I'm going to, and again, hopefully the Heat and the Thunder have a great series. Hopefully the officiating is fair, everything else is good. I still think the Heat in 5 or 6 games. And with the Red Sox, they got to swing it around. It's like a roller coaster ride with that baseball team right now. They can hopefully they can come back and make it a good run, because that AL East is really close. And the Patriots are going to have a great season this year. I'm telling you, they're going to have a great season. And we'll see what happens. And again, the question of the week is, who owns the Boston Celtics? That's going to do it for me from this week. Catch the Negotiators on Thursday, and I will be back here on Tuesday. Make sure you go on YouTube, the Raynham channel, and type in Sports Talk. That's it for me. Have a good week.